Chapter 12. Reunion at Moon Lake. Thank you, Senpai. Please take care of Fuku. Fuku, please listen to everyone while I'm gone. They're in charge. I'll pick you up tomorrow. Mia. Fuku looked at him from on top of Ryoki. Today, Fuku was being left to stay at Tenchi's house. Don't worry, I'm close by. I'll contact you as soon as I have time. Don't worry, I'll take care of getting your bike fixed. Tenchi told him. Maybe it's best that he doesn't ride his bike while he's here on Earth, Washa said. Hey Seina, I know that you can't help me today because you promised to meet with Sakiko, but you're going to stay at our place tomorrow, right? There's something I want to talk to you about. So, make sure you make it back over here. Tenchi told Seina as he got in his father's van. Oh, okay, I'll make sure of it. Well then, I'll be waiting for you tomorrow. Tenchi said as Seina got in the van. Thank you, Tenchi. We can really use these carrots. I'll put the payment on your tab next time I come by. Hokuto, Seina's father, said from the driver's window. Tenchi bowed to him. Bye Tenchi, Kariko waved. Well then, we're off. Hokuto said as he began to drive off. It was a moderate walk to Masaki village for an adult, but it took less than 5 minutes in a van. Soon the van arrived in front of Tsukiko's house. Kariko. Seina. In front of the house Tsukiko waved as she waited for them to get off the bus. Tsukiko-san. For a moment Seina thought back to what Kisa said to him on Jurai, and it cancelled out his familiar perception of Tsukiko, but her waving and the scenery of the village brought him back to it. However, Seina didn't call her Aunt Tsukiko, rather he called her Tsukiko-san. When Seina got out of the van, Kai heard him and came out. Oh, friend of mine, you've returned. Kai came out in a tuxedo for some reason. Perhaps he was checking how it looked on him in a mirror. What brings you back to the country, Ak? Kai saw a man come out of the van and quickly grabbed Seina and took him to the side to talk to him. What? What's wrong, Kai? What's going on? Who is that girl? Oh, she's my colleague. Are you saying you go to school with a transcendent hyper-ultra deluxe beauty like that every day? That is not at all what I expected you to be doing. Are there really girls who look like that in the city? Oh, that? Yes. I understand why you would feel that way. Is she single? Do you think I have a chance? Kai closed his eyes and made a kissy face. Seina got mad and punched him. Oh shit, he suddenly remembered he was bioenhanced. Kai went flying back. Oops. Sorry. Are you okay? Ahahaha, Seina, that was a good punch, thanks for that. Now I know I'm not dreaming. Kai said, jumping to his feet exhilarated. His nose was bleeding. Well, that's good. Ha ha ha. What a hyper-ultra-deluxe beautiful woman. But when Kai went to look again, Amain had already gotten back in the van and Seina's dad had already driven off. Why did she leave? Why? Kai fell to his knees and did a clap and a prayer. Are you going to stand outside forever being stupid, or are you going to come on in? Sakiko looked down at her son coldly. Oh, I nearly forgot to say hello to my funny brother. Kariko patted Kai on the back. Sorry. Seina, let's go inside. Kai took Seina and ran into the house. However, Sakiko hit him on the head. How many times have I told you don't run in the house? Sorry. Kai got down cowering. Sakiko raised her long, elegant legs as she prepared to drop-kick him. Seina caught a glimpse under her skirt. She stopped herself. Oh! I forgot we have company. Sakiko stood back up, embarrassed. She took a deep breath to calm herself and fixed her hair and clothes. Go home, Seina-chan. She said with eyes that reminded him of the ones Kisu had towards him. The image of the two overlapped in his mind. Seina turned red and his heart raced desperately. But I am home was all he could manage to say. The two found themselves unable to look away from each other as their eyes met. It looked like a pair of lovers looking at each other across the room. Mom. Seina, are you planning on just standing there forever? Kariko said with a frustrated look. She grabbed Seina by the arm and pulled him into the dining room. Sakiko snapped out of it and hurried to follow them. Ow! Mother, you know I'm just glad that Seina came back. You didn't have to be so harsh with me, Kai said as he sat at the table. So Seina, how does it taste? I hope it tastes just like you remember it. It's been a while since I last made this dish. Sakiko kept staring at Seina's face. Of course, it was partially because she wanted to ignore Kai. It's really tasty. Seina was eating Sakiko's curry. It had summer vegetables that were harvested in the village and Tenchi's carrots. Taro's grandmother, Kei, raised the chicken carefully to be delicious. But the roux was store-bought. In a sense, it was very common curry that anyone could make, but Seina thought this curry was the most delicious thing in the world. Kariko seemed a little mad as Seina ate his curry. Indeed, Kariko could make a much more authentic curry, but Seina was used to Tsukiko's curry, so when she made it for him, she would make it the way Tsukiko would, but she wasn't ever able to make it taste like exactly Tsukiko's that way. Anyways, mother, your curry is good, why don't you make it more often? This is the first time you've made it in nearly half a year. His mother ignored him. Sis, it's ridiculous. She won't ever make it for me when I ask, but the second Seina comes back she starts preparing it the night before. Kariko also ignored him. Mother, can I at least get some more? Kai was then ignored by both Tsukiko and Kariko. Seina-chan, what about you? Oh, hold on. I'll get it. Tsukiko took Seina's plate and made him seconds. So, Seina, where are you staying? Are you in Tokyo or Osaka or Fukuoka? Well, Seina wasn't sure what to say because he didn't know what lies they had told Kai. Whatever happened with that pamphlet? Did you get to see that theme park? Well, about that. Here you are, I've explained it to you over and over again. Do you even listen to me? Tsukiko rushed to give Kai seconds to get him to shut up about Seina. I'll explain it to you again later when he... Wow, curry! Kai talked loudly over Tsukiko. And then he began eating quickly. She kept this up all throughout dinner, and Kai never got to hear about Seina's life in the city. Kai changed into more comfortable clothes and plopped down on the sofa and rubbed his stomach. You two should go bathe, you were outside in the garden and you're covered in mud, Tsukiko said while clearing the table. A bath sounds nice. Hey Seina, I hear your folks recently installed a huge bath. We should go check it out. Why would you want to go bathe at my house? There's a bath right here. I want to get a peep at that hyper-ultra-deluxe beautiful woman you brought here with you. Tsukiko drop-kicked him and stood on top of him. Seina again caught a glimpse of her panties from the gap in her skirt. Oh! He panicked and looked away, but his enhanced vision from his latest round of bioenhancement etched the image clearly into his mind. Tsukiko was confused by this. But then she turned red once she realized the view Seina was getting. She lost track of time as she was embarrassed and was accidentally crushing Kai's windpipe. Seina. Help! Kai tried to call out. Tsukiko rushed to hold down her skirt and ran to the kitchen to escape the situation. Kai got himself back up and sat at the table and keeled over on it as he struggled to breathe and passed out. God damn it, Kisu-san. I'll get back at you for this, Tsukiko said as she entered the kitchen. Seina took the stunned Kai to his room and laid him in his futon. He had expected him to regain consciousness as he took him back, but he was still unconscious and limp. Times like these make me really appreciate my bioenhancement. It takes more power than usual to carry an unconscious person. Seina-chan, Tsukiko called to him from outside of the room. Tsukiko-san. Sorry, but if you could you just stand there and listen to me? Tsukiko hurried to stop Seina from going out into the hallway. I'm sorry. I lack the confidence to say this properly to you face to face. Huh. It felt weird to him to talk to her like this, but he also wanted the privacy, so he didn't turn into a blubbering mess. This is about Kisu, isn't it? You aren't in trouble. This isn't anything bad. It's just, I'm embarrassed because what she told you as me was true. It was true. Like Kisu had said, her acting out Tsukiko's feelings for Seina were real. His heartbeat sped up. Although it was confirmed via Kisu, she had confessed her love to Seina. It was the first time someone had done that to him. I've been thinking about it for a long time. What if you had stayed on Earth? What would have happened? What would have happened? Seina thought, but, as always, it only resulted in him being aware of the fact that there were almost no choices for him in life if he hadn't gone to space. Even if he got older and acquired new knowledge, it wouldn't have changed anything, no matter how smart he got. Well, high school and college would be impossible, so that would just leave me being a burden to Masaki Village. At least that's my usual conclusion. The only logical conclusion is you and me together in this house. Oh, I guess that's right. If that's what you wanted. Seina had always intended to live in a vacant house in the village, but if Tsukiko was okay with it, there would have been no reason to refuse her. And what then? The way Tsukiko talked to him reminded him of how she usually talked when explaining things to Kuriko. I guess there is the chance that I would eventually learn the truth of Masaki Village. Yes, and most likely Kuriko would have stopped coming every now and then to see you. So surely I think over time we would have just naturally fallen in love with each other. Oh! Seina's face turned red. He panicked slightly. He was accustomed to trouble, but not to confessions of love. It was a strong poison for Seina. Indeed, things like romance seemed like a super expensive commodity that was out of reach. In 10 years, the physical difference between us would disappear, and anyone who saw us would logically assume we were a couple. Seina thought about it. We would make for a perfect couple. Tsukiko said powerfully, as if reading Seina's heart. But Seina went to space, and that timeline didn't happen. But I thought, that's okay. I could still be your Aunt Tsukiko, and you could be Seina, my son's friend and the boy who adores my daughter. Hisu had rushed what she had planned to wait a decade to tell him. I'd still like for that to be the case, Seina. I'd like for you to still see me as your aunt for now. But where did Tsukiko's romance go? When did you notice that feeling, I wonder? Where would Seina's feelings go now that he knew about it? There's not much difference how couples are, whether they have lifespan of several thousand years or not. Sometimes they get married, sometimes they break up and get back together again, but it's the same everywhere. Here it's usually just giving birth and raising children, and then their lifetime ends with the children inheriting their wisdom. But we are a long-lived people. We don't have to spend all our lifetime doing that. Besides, being married over hundreds of years creates a bond stronger than blood. Stronger than blood? At that time, Seina remembered the conversation he had with Yosho at the Shinto shrine over Aries' repeatedly attempted infidelity. Well, we've been together over 700 years, and we've only been back together for like 500 years of that. And that's a long time to only be with one person. Especially living long distance, and besides that, philosophers just tend to be sexual deviants. It's not even uncommon for both partners to end up partnered with another partner, sometimes even while maintaining that tight connection. Couples commonly had different lovers as well as each other. There was no such concept in space of it being an affair like it was on the Earth. Of course, there were no legal problems with it either. So Seina, you and I may reach that timeline together again maybe in a few hundred years from now. And that's enough for me. We're still young. Are we young? Yes, we are. The average life expectancy now is 2,000 years. Assuming that the average Earthling's lifespan is 80 years, it's about 25 times shorter than ours. Our difference is less than a year if you think of it on that scale. I guess that's true when you put it that way. Seina understood what she meant. It's taken me a while to realize that I'm really not an Earthling anymore. Heh, well, then, why don't you go take a bath, Seina-chan? It's been a long day. Okay, Aunt Tsukiko. Seina was glad to call her Aunt Tsukiko again. They could finally look each other in the face again normally. Hey Kuriko, when he's done, will you take a bath together with me? About 30 minutes later, Tsukiko, who confirmed that Seina had left the bath, called out to Kuriko, who was lounging in the living room. You look happy, what happened? Come on, let's go. Tsukiko didn't answer Kuriko's question and headed to the bathroom. Wait a moment. Like a chick following her mother, Kuriko hastily followed after Tsukiko. The two took off their clothes without saying anything. It looked like a mirror, if one mirror showed what the person would look like in a few years. They got in the bath. Hey Mom, I have a question about earlier. I've dealt with my relationship with Seina properly. Everything is back to normal. Oh! Are you surprised? I just put things back to how they were before Kisa got involved. But what about you? When are you going to tell him? When are you going to make up your mind? Kuriko pretended not to hear her. He's surrounded by attractive girls now. If you don't act quickly, you might miss your chance. But it's not like you're not pretty enough. Tsukiko gave Kuriko's butt a tickle. What's the problem? Why are you so particular about keeping a distance between you and Sana?
Oh,
That's what you mean. You don't need to do that anymore. You have made amends with him already, and you shouldn't have had to make amends with him in the first place. But I know what I did, and I can't forgive myself. Kariko painfully covered her face with her hands. Well then I'll forgive you. Eh? I've been watching over Sana for the same amount of time as you have, the exact same time. Sakiko brought her face closer so that she looked into Kariko's eyes. Her eyes were not that of a mother's, but the eyes of a woman. Eyes of jealousy, not of charity. It was as if she was issuing her a challenge. I will forgive you, not as mother, but a woman, the same as you. Her words quietly reverberated in the bathroom. Sakiko at that time looked exactly like a mirror image of Kariko. The same as me. As a woman. Yes. So please stop worrying. Don't worry. Stop it. Like she was hypnotized by looking into Sakiko's eyes, Kariko repeated back her words. Sakiko slowly nodded. And the spell of the mirror was unraveled, and the animation returned to Kariko's face. Okay. Do you understand, Kariko? Yes, I understood. I understand. I will make an effort. Good, you don't want the other girls getting ahead of you. What about you? I won't hold back either, she said with a face like Jaikirin might make. Mother, I reset the relationship with me and Sana, but I can choose to pursue it at any time. Thanks to Kisu, everything is set and ready for me when I want to go. Sakiko stared at her like a snake would stare at a mouse. Kariko stiffened up and got sweaty. So do your best. Sakiko brought her face close to intimidate her. Yes, mother. Kariko nodded with little tears in the corner of her eyes. Sana was looking up at the moon outside. He hadn't seen Earth's moon in a long time, but it was just as beautiful as he remembered. Especially in the village where there were no street lamps or lit buildings to block out the stars. It had a special beauty that shone in the darkness of the night. The moon looks beautiful tonight, doesn't it? A voice said behind Sana. It was Kariko who had just gotten out of the bath. What did you and my mother talk about? Sana was shocked. Sana had thought Kariko was Sakiko.
oh,
Nothing. What are you doing out here? It's strange, isn't it? I never thought I'd ever be able to go to the moon. Well, now you can go even further. Is it farther? How far can we go? Sana wasn't looking at Kariko, but she was upset and began crying. I wanted you to leave me stay here. Don't leave me, she said meekly. What? Sana turned to look at her, but she had run inside. Sakiko had come out in a yukata as he looked around for Kariko. Sakiko came to Sana and looked in his eyes. If you're not sleepy yet, I'd like for you to go out with me for dinner. What do you say? Well, okay, but it's nowhere fancy. I just want to talk somewhere nice outside where we can talk so I can tell you some things I can't while Kai is around. Oh, I see. So how about it? Sure. There should be some nice clothes in Kai's room. Please change. All right. Sakiko went into the living room while Sana went to change. If you don't want me to be alone with Sana, then please get ready to come with us, Sakiko said to Kariko, who was wiping the tears from her face. Sakiko poured Sana some plum-flavored Italian soda she made from syrup and some carbonated water she brought with her and booze for her and Kariko. So, do you like it? Sakiko asked as Sana took a sip. Yes, it reminds me of summer. I'm happy. Kai only ever drinks cola. Why are you still waiting to tell Kai the truth? I know I should have done it already. I'm just waiting until Dai is gone. Mr. Dai is in town? Yes, but I told him not to come over again. The bigger Kai gets, the more he misses his father. Well, he misses his wallet at the very least. But if he really wants to see him, he can do it once he gets into space. Until then, he can wait. Anyways, I hate to leave Kai alone like this, but I just needed to get out so we could talk. Sakiko downed the entire glass. He's starting to annoy me. But I don't want to grow to dislike my son. Kai had begun acting a bit like Dai. She understood this was because he was partially his child. So, when Kai goes into space, you'll be alone. Have you decided if are you going to go back to learn at the academy again? What? Kariko raised her voice. I'm technically on a leave of absence. So, I can if I choose to. Oh, I see. If you didn't know, Once you're enrolled in the academy, you're accepted until you either withdraw or die. Well then, I guess marriage and child-rearing must have been a bit of an obstacle for you. So, what was your major, mother? I specialized in AI. Research on artificial intelligence. Oh, so, that's how. Oh! Sana realized that was how she met Mickey's father, Hiroshi. But that made him not want to talk as it would remind him of Mickey's death. Of course, Tsukiko didn't want to talk about it either. Oh, right. That time with Aunt Tsukiko and Mickey's father, but Sana remembered that at the lake. Mickey's death was still a painful event for him, but thinking of the relieved face of Mickey's father back then relieved a bit of the pain. By the way, artificial intelligence is something like NB, if only you could have brought it here with you. Well, that might not be a good idea even if I could. He acts a bit strange. Oh well, how your NB's AI turns out is different for everyone. Of course, some just treat them as objects. To prevent that, if the owner treats them like they have a personality, usually one emerges. Is that so? I'll remember that. Sana said. Kariko laughed. Why are you laughing? Tsukiko asked Kariko. I don't think that's the issue. There was some weird software installed on it when he first got it. And a main put even weirder character software on it. Oh, really? It was made by Eri, right? Did you try sending it back to her? Once. But it got even stranger when it returned. Wow. That's amazing, but if it's impossible to fix for her, then it's defiantly impossible for me. Heh, is that so? Oh, your glass is empty. Tsukiko refilled his glass. There's plenty of plum syrup left over from last year, so please don't hold back. If you like it, please take some back to your place. Thank you. Tsukiko sat back down. The front of her yukata was open and her cleavage was visible. Oh, Mom. It's loose. Kariko pointed with her eyes at Tsukiko. Oh, can you fix it for me? Kariko got up and leaned over Sana to tighten it. Kariko and Tsukiko talked to each other as Sana was accidentally sandwiched between Kariko's breasts. A fight broke out between them as she tightened Tsukiko's yukata when Tsukiko said something to Kariko about Sana that made her mad. At this point, they were both very drunk and started fighting about Sana. They continued to argue with each other, and Sana got pulled into their breasts and was nearly smothered to death by both of them as they fought over him until they got so drunk their argument stopped making any sense and they drunkenly made up and then passed out.